What's good? What's good? What's good, people? This is your boy, Jay Gibson, aka Santa Boss, and this is the Christmas edition of Boss Talk Live. We got a great show going on tonight. Got a bunch of people coming through. It's going to be fun. And right now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at Disney's new film, Soul. We're just going to go over the broad strokes. A lot of people may not have seen it. It just dropped today. But I felt there was some important messages that you guys need to hear, that you guys need to see, because watching the film, you'll get a different perspective. And surprisingly, I personally don't think the movie was for kids. So we're going to go into that. And we're going to talk about it much more. We have a bunch of guests coming on tonight. We have my man BossWood. We have a real industry boss coming through. My man Kaspa the Don. We have Didda Joe, you know what I mean, doing his thing. And also Gotti, Naptown's Prince. So we got a great show lined up. You know, I want you to just sit back, enjoy your holiday cheer, do what you're doing, and make sure you tune in, because this is Boss Talk Live, baby. You know what it is. It's time to get busy. Oh! Yeah. What's good, y'all? What's good? This is your boy, Jay Gibson, aka Santa Boss, and we are in the building. And this is Boss Talk Live. This is the #1 platform for entrepreneurs and entertainers, because what we do is take entertainers and turn them into entrepreneurs. I am the new face of finance, your boy, Jay Gibson. Get used to it. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas to you, your whole family, and anybody that you know that you're spending this holiday with. A lot of times, people are down during the holidays, you know, but this has been a rough year. I mean, this year has really been crazy. For all the people who lost somebody this year, I want to say my condolences. And I also just want to let you know that, you know, another year's right around the corner. So we have a chance to do it all over again. And that's going to really ring true tonight when we go over some of the stuff I want to talk about. So one of the main things that I'm focused on tonight is Disney's movie Soul. Soul is a new film, came out, just Pixar Pictures, and Disney is on Disney Plus streaming right now. If you don't have it, you must don't have kids or you don't like Disney, which is about 0.0% of the population. And it tells an interesting story. It tells the journey of a person who is trying to pursue their dream, and their whole life is about what they think is this one thing until they lose it in this blink of an eye, and then they're fighting to get back. And it's a whole journey, and it's a lot of lessons in between. So I just wanted to, you know, highlight some of the different aspects of the film. I'm not going to give away too much, but I am going to give you a review and what I think. So bear with me. We're going to share the screen real quick while I wait for my guests to arrive out the green room, and we will get right to it. So let's do that right now. All right, so you see here, this is the poster art for the movie Soul. We're going to flip back and forth because, you know, I just wanted to show you different aspects and we can talk about it. So we see here the main character is a brother named Joe Gardner. And Joe Gardner is a musician. He's a jazz enthusiast. He's played jazz piano his whole life. He wants to become a you know, professional musician and go on the road and record albums and do all the things that jazz legends do. But he hasn't gotten his big break. And that's key to set the story where he is in life. And you could tell by the picture, let's say he's 30 to 40 years old. He's a guy who has a lot of dreams and a lot of ambition, but never has really gotten his shot. And, you know, during the course of the movie, he gets some different opportunities and things change for him. So one of the first things that happens is we see Joe start out his career as a teacher. And it's very important to understand that, because he's a lover of music, but within that, he has to teach, you know, a high school band. And you see that the kids aren't really that talented, and they really don't care about music too much. So in his mind, you know, it's just, he's just wasting away at his job. And that's key because a lot of us feel like today we're wasting away in the positions we're in. We feel like we had a purpose in life, something that we were going towards, and then things just, never materialized to turn into what we thought it would be. And so Joe, he's teaching this high school music, and he's only part-time. And at the end of the class, one of the principals comes over and tells him that he's, got his big break, what they think is his big break, by getting offered a full-time teaching position, which will mean, he will get benefits, he'll get more salary, he'll have job security, but he will not be able to really chase his music dream, because what happens when he needs to go on the road? What happens when he has to get ready for a gig that may not line up with the school time? Because remember, he's teaching band. They have different concerts. They have different things going on. So that's really not what he's trying to do. He's kind of like a Steve Harvey kind of person who is trying to pursue music, and he's only teaching to fill in the blanks until he gets his big break. And so that's really demoralizing for him in some kind of ways. He feels like I said, his talents are not being utilized. But he's still striving on to get to where he wants to go. So in the movie, he gets a call from a former student, right? And this former student calls him and lets him know that he's playing with a famous jazz musician. And this famous jazz musician is somebody that, everybody knows, everybody's heard of, and he knows this will be the break he needs to take his game to the next level. But what happens, you see here in this famous still picture right here, he's crossing the street, he's on the phone. He's not really paying attention to what's going on around him. He's so happy that he finally gets his break that he doesn't even look at anything going on. And that's kind of where the story takes off. So good old Joe ends up walking into a manhole. And, you might have seen that in the commercials or if you saw the trailer. But, it's important to note that this is a moment where he's at the highest height of his life. He's feeling like things are finally going to happen for him. He's finally going to get a chance to, get out there and pursue his dream, and it's snatched away from him. And in that moment, he's sent to a place where they feel like all souls go. So he's in this in-between space. He's not all the way to the other side, but he's definitely not still on earth. And he panics. And while most people are just, on the conveyor belt, just going with the flow, he starts running the other way because he knows this is his big shot. And he feels like it's been snatched away from him before he had a chance to, fulfill his dream and pursue what he feels is his destiny. And that's important to note as well, because a lot of us in life have been chasing one particular thing. We think life is all about wanting to become a professional athlete, right? But till you find out that maybe 1% of the people who graduate high school seniors end up in the NFL or NBA or wherever, right? But that being said, everybody still pursues it. And, like I said, you have to decide in life what you want to go after, what you want to become. And there's steps and levels that you're going to go through. And we talk about that each and every week here on Boss Talk, because we give you the sauce and everything you need to, put you in the right mindset to get you ready for that opportunity. So old Joe gets his opportunity, but it's all snatched from him. And that's where the movie begins. And, he's going through the phases. He goes and visits this place where they basically create the personalities that we become. And it's a very interesting part, because in this place, there's really, it's really just, a discovery. So it's like when we're born, this is the place you go through to get your personality, and then you get a spark. And once you find what your spark is, you're entered into earth and you're born. And so there's all these different characters that come into his orbit, come into his world. His mission is to get back. But these people around him are trying to stop him from doing that, right? Some people want him to go ahead and go to the other side, while others are, trying to basically figure out what he's doing there and what is his purpose. So with that being said, you have to focus on what you're doing in life and why are you doing it, right? That's the key to the whole film, purpose. And a lot of times in life, we're focusing on trying to take things to the next level, but we're really ignoring everything around us. We're not focused on the things that can help us get to the next level. Some people saying it's a great movie. Some people who see it may feel like it's a little too heavy for children. But either way, it's definitely a lot of lessons that you can learn from the film. So with that being said, I want to ask you a few questions. What is your purpose, right? Is your purpose to serve others? Is your purpose to start a business? What is that business going to be about? And that's very intimately tied to your purpose. You have to figure out, where are we going in life? We're at the end of another year, a year none of us expected when the year started, which shows you things can change just like that. And if you're not thinking and enjoying the moment, right? If you're always pressing forward, if you're always in grind mode, if you're always focused on what you don't have, the opportunities you didn't get, you'll never get to see what's right there in front of you, or what you really may be called to do, that you were so focused on one thing over here, you never allowed yourself to even contemplate that you could have a different purpose in life. And it's very eye-opening, because like I said, this year, every single person has been tested. Every single person has been asked that question. People who had businesses and restaurants who spent their whole life savings, they were ready to retire early, right? It was that whole hashtag FIRE movement, right? Financially independent, retire early. And that was really gaining steam. And then when the pandemic hit and everything shut down, the people who had something because they had invested and they had saved could fall back on that. Right? They could probably just take a pause for a minute, kind of let things simmer down and figure out the next move. But the people who were chasing check to check, which are many of us were, things they didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. That could set in doubt, that could set in panic, and a whole lot of other things. But we have to focus on the fact that once you find your purpose, no matter what's going on around you, you'll be able to excel. You'll be able to exceed expectations. You'll be able to take it further than anybody around you probably will. And that just causes us to look at the film. Now, I thought the film had some great points to it. Joe Gardner, he's going through his life. He's on this journey to get back to Earth. He somehow, beats the system, finds a way to get back, but not like he thought. Right? So I'm not going to give you every little nugget, but when you see it, you'll see what happens. And it's kind of that classic story of people getting switched. I'll put it like that. So he ends up in a different body. And so now he's like, well, I'm back, but this is not my body. You feel me? So I'm trying to get my shot and get back in my body, because, this is my one chance to become something. And through a whole bunch of different series of events, he finally gets back. He finally gets there. He's finally in that moment. But in that moment, when he finally gets what he think his whole life's been about, he asks the woman, okay, so what's next? And she looks at him and says, well, you come back tomorrow and we do it all over again. And just when you thought he would be jumping off the screen, he just puts his head down. And he puts his head down because he realizes no matter what you pursue, no matter what you achieve, life is still going to test you every single day. And when you're in your profession, if you're a doctor, you save lives every single day, right? If you're a firefighter, you're going to put out fires every single day. Is that what you love to do? Is your passion line up with your purpose in life? Because a lot of us are passionate about something, right? That's why I think music was a great career path that they gave the character, because so many people can relate to that. They wanted to be a musician. They wanted to be an athlete. And you start out, and when you're young and you are idealistic and everything else. But at the same time, when things happen in life, you sort of just, you don't see the positives. You don't see what's going on around you to make life better. You don't see anything that can take you further, to give you something to hold on to. And Joe, for his whole world was music. And then he had to deal with difficulties in his family. For instance, his father was a jazz musician. In the film, his father has passed already. It's nobody left but the mother. The whole movie, every time, Joe brings up the fact that he's got a job going on or he's got a gig, his mother talks down on it. Oh, that's just another gig. That's not a career. When you're going to just get a job, when you're going to settle down. And a lot of us deal with that, right? If you have a comment, I wanted to let you know, drop that in the comment section. We have somebody from overseas. I can't read this, but hey, I appreciate your comment. People watch this from all over the world. So thank you very much for your comment. Maybe I'll put it in Google Translate and figure out what we're doing there. But back to Joe, right? His mother talks down on him the whole movie, and they finally have a very pivotal scene. And he finally speaks up for himself and explains that this is what he wants to do with his life. It doesn't really matter what's happened, in his father's life. His father never got to the gigs that he wanted to get to. He never really accomplished the things that he wanted to. And she didn't want to see her son end up like that. So that's the main reason why she always talked down on it. But in the moment when he finally stood up for himself, she finally saw that this really was his purpose, his passion, and she supported him, and she comes through for him in a major way. And so that's something else that we should talk about tonight, because people, when you talk about the holidays, a lot of things come up as far as family and how people, deal with that, how people look at their past. And we always reflect on Christmas. We always think about those Christmases that were great. Maybe you had some Christmases that weren't so great, depending on what was going on in your household. But for Joe, his problem was he never asserted himself. He always was trying to, fake the funk with his mother to make it look like he was, taking these jobs. But really, he was into music, and that's what he wants to do. And the more she would talk against it, the more it would push him to prove her wrong as well. And when she finally came and saw him at his big moment, they were all surprised, and it put him in a place that they called the zone, right? And it's very important. You'll see in the movie when they talk about people in the zone, they say that people are somewhere in between the earthly world and the spiritual world, because you have almost an out-of-body experience, and everybody's experienced that. No matter what you do, there's a moment when you feel like, you just can't lose. For artists, you could be in the booth, you can hear it on certain albums and tracks where just, the flow and the music and everything is just to another level. And, for people that's, some type of creator in any type of space, there's a place where you feel like you're doing more than what an average person can do. And that's what you need to focus on. How do you get to the zone? Most of the time you're in the zone when you're doing something that's aligned with your purpose. It's something going on that's greater than what we can understand. And that's what differentiates you from the competition. There may be a million people who try to do what you do, but they can't do what you do because this is your purpose, right? They could be in the exact same industry and just don't have the impact that you have. So, as we go through this holiday season, I want you guys to really take some time and think about your purpose. And as far as the film, I'm going to give it a 3.5. The reason I'm giving it a 3.5 because I think they could have added a few more details. There's some scenes in there where you have your funny scenes. For a Disney movie, they didn't have a lot of songs. Usually they have a few songs that make it memorable, and it being basically a music themed kind of film, you would think they would have more music in the movie. So I think they missed the opportunity there. And I also think that the storyline could have been developed a little more to where the main character had a chance to have an impact in more lives. Like, they left it to where we don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to, become a teacher and help others find their passion? Is he going to take the gig and, become this famous musician? We don't know. And I think that kind of left us, hanging. And, I think they had an opportunity there to kind of really tell a great story. Number two, I think the way the movie was marketed almost made it look like it's a family movie, what their brand is. This was a little bit off brand, but it was a good attempt. And in Hollywood, you very rarely see people make an attempt to do something different. Especially when we look at diversity in Hollywood and how our stories are getting told and, how we're being portrayed. I think they did a good job that way. But I think something was lacking in, the connecting with the audience that this is a movie that really is more for adults. Because young children may not understand what it is, what disappointment is, right? And what failure is. They haven't failed yet. So they could have taken a few minutes to, elaborate on that this guy has, always got the short end of the stick. He never got his break. And he just wasn't who he thought he would be. And only a grown-up can really understand that. So, like I said, they did a good job in some aspects. I think they left a few things on the table that they could have expanded on. But truth be told, it wasn't a bad film. I think you should watch it. I think you should watch it with your children and then have a discussion and just talk to them about purpose, because that's the major theme of the movie. What is your purpose and how do you follow it? And there's a few key steps to that. The first step is, like I said, to figure out who you are, right? Then which is your purpose? Then what is your passion? What are the things that, excite you? What would you do even if you weren't getting paid to do it, right? Then you can say, how do you become a professional at that? Because just because this is my passion, that doesn't mean I'm, professional. And the people who work and put the thousands of hours in to become a professional, that's the difference between the people who have a hobby and the people who get to earn a living doing what it is they love to do. And when you do that and you become a professional, you'll see the profit. A lot of times what's happening, even in the business culture, we're seeing people at the finish line. We're seeing people after they've achieved everything they wanted to achieve. After they've already, we're watching the NBA right now tonight. These are people who are at the top of their craft. And then even within that, you have the LeBrons, you have the KDs, the Kyries. These are the elite of the elite. And everybody can't be elite, or what would being elite mean? So you have to really understand that if you're going to pursue something in life, take your time and figure out not just what you're good at, but if you did it every day, would you still love to do it? And people, that's something you have to think about as well. Your passion, when it becomes a job, can turn into something you hate. And a lot of artists out here, and a lot of athletes too, but specifically with artists, you want to become this rap star, movie star, rock star, whatever you want to do. And then you get that opportunity. And now you're doing shows every other day until you get tired of that song, right? You've been singing that same song every night for a year. And then you never get time off. Nas can't just go to the grocery store and pick up a loaf of bread. They're going to ask him for pictures, photographs, ask him questions, right? Try to catch him up. Some people may try to start something with him. So being a celebrity, when the star fades, and everybody has that time. Nobody's ice. Some people will get ice cold. It happens. You're never the new thing. You're never the most popular all the time. For a celebrity, that can be soul crushing, because what do they do when maybe they tired of doing music? There's a big discussion with Andre 3000 about that. And does he want to continue to do music? He's obviously one of the best artists in the game. His talent level is through the roof, but his heart's not in it anymore. He's not passionate about it. He has to know, he has to feel something to be part of a project. And, there was a big, back and forth between Young Thug, who's, he's a talented artist as well. And he's, you could say he's relevant right now in the culture, especially in Atlanta. And we're going to talk to some people from Atlanta tonight, and I'm going to get their take on that. But he's not, in my personal opinion, he's not in Andre 3000's class as far as artistry and talent. Let's just keep it real. So, it's a debate. Do the new people respect the legends? And what happens to a legend when they're just not passionate about doing what they do anymore? They want to do something different. Do we allow people to change and pivot? Or do we make our celebrities, our superstars, have to be the same person, 20 years later? So that's just something to think about. But it is also Christmas, and we wanna have a little fun, right? So one thing I wanted to think about was different Christmas bosses, right? So you had different people within the holiday genre, right? Because this is a Christmas genre. And there's different characters now. Most of the time, when you think about Christmas movies, you get the same old movies, you get the same old stuff, but we never really break down who were the bosses of Christmas, right? And one of my favorite characters of all time is the Grinch, right? And so we're gonna spend a little time, and while I'm still, like I said, my people are coming through. You know how we do. We always late, but they'll be here. Got a lot of people scheduled for hour two, so just stick around. Tell a friend to tell a friend, right? But let's look at the Grinch for a second. Let me just put this on the screen for y'all, and we're gonna break down the Grinch. All right, here he is, Mr. Grinch, right? Now, most people, they hate on the Grinch. They didn't, they paint the Grinch as a villain. And as a child, when we had the cartoon version, I always thought the cartoon version was the best version of the Grinch. Every time they try to make these other movies over, it's like, what are they doing? What are they doing? They ruining the classic, right? Well, when they made the Jim Carrey version, I have to say, I started liking it a little more. As the years go by, I'm starting to like that version because it gives the backstory. And, while we look at the Grinch as a villain in the beginning of the movie, he makes a transformation. He pivots, right? And why does he pivot? Because of an experience. He has an interaction with the little girl, Cindy Lou Who. Cindy Lou Who is not scared of the Grinch. She never, heard the horror stories, right? She just looks at him as a person. He's just different. And I think that's the a model for modern society. When we look at the diversity, when we look at the inclusion and everything that's going on, the youth are more accepting because they haven't had all of these, misconceived notions. They haven't had all of this propaganda telling you to be scared of somebody just because they're different, or we don't like somebody, or we don't support this, or we don't support that because of what they've been taught as kids. But somebody who's a child without any of that propaganda will just accept somebody. And when he interacts with this little girl, it kind of opens his mind and opens his heart just a little bit to say, you know what, maybe I will show up, right? Maybe I will participate. But what happens when he comes to participate? The mayor, right? The mayor of Whoville, he's still up to his old tricks. He bullied the Grinch as a child. And that's why the Grinch hated Christmas. Because when you watch this version, the cartoon version, you're saying to yourself, why does the Grinch, it's funny, he steals all the stuff, he pulls the tree, he throws it up the thing. And to me, that was fascinating, right? It was just like, the Grinch is a gangster. You feel me? I liked him. I like, this guy is cool, right? But when you think about it, you never asked yourself, well, why is he doing this? He must really hate Christmas to want to take everybody's stuff, right? What happened to him? And the movie fills in those blanks, right? So that's definitely somebody I wanted to salute as a Christmas boss, because, we see all these different versions of what, with, the capital society is and commercialism is telling us what Christmas is about. But this movie is powerful because it talks about the spirit of Christmas and what it's really about, which is giving, right? And being in community. And that's what we have lost. A lot of people don't want to realize it. And I talked about this a couple of weeks ago with the PS5. Everybody, breaking their neck to buy this PS5. And I get it. I mean, I had the Nintendo. We all had the Sega Genesis. We all had the games, or the starter jacket. Every year there was something. And at a certain age, yes, you want that thing. You want that toy. That's what's going to make your Christmas. But it's our responsibility as, the parents now, the leaders in the community, the people who are grown to say, okay, we can have that and we can preserve your childhood, but we want to teach these lessons early. Because like I said, Cindy Lou Who wasn't prejudiced because she never was exposed to none of the negativity. She didn't believe in it, right? She just thought people were people, and then she went and did the research. That's key. She goes and does the research. She interviews people around Whoville to find out what the Grinch is about. Why is the Grinch like that? Right? Nobody asks these questions, right? We just sit back and say, oh, the Grinch is bad. And everybody in the town believes it. They call that group think. That's what's happening in society right now. Got a president on the way out. Oh, he's this, he's that. Got somebody on the way in. People would say he's this, he's that, right? So nobody does the research. We just believe what we hear. We believe what the crowd says. We go with the crowd. And it's a lot of our young men in the community that are ending up in jail and in prison and in the cemetery because they're too scared to stand up to what the group says. They're too scared to be their own individual. We have celebrities and rappers in this industry who are leading their kids leading our kids and our families and our youth to the slaughterhouse, to the jailhouse and the cemetery. Because everything is, the street, and everything is you solve your problems with guns, and you're too scared to just be your own person, right? There's safety in numbers, but there's also insecurity, because some of these same people don't understand when they end up in that prison, nobody's going to fight your battles. You have to defend yourself, and part of growing up is learning how to take a loss sometime. Learning how to, find out where you fit in society, right? And not being a follower, being a leader. And if it's more of that in our media, if it's more of that in, our culture right now, you're going to change the youth. You're going to change their perspective. We have to have balance. You can't just leave it up to the media. And then we blame, oh, it's the media this, but we're participating in that. We're not providing or supporting those who provide positive images, who provide guidance, who provide resources to change the narrative. We all talk about it, and some of us are doing it, but a lot of us is just waiting for somebody else to do it. We complain about how the schools are. Nobody's stopping you from teaching your kids. Your kids are home now. What's stopping you from adding to the education? And there's some parents who say, okay, I don't know that much about this. Well, we're on the internet right now. You can Google it, learn it, and pass it to them. Or you can find people who are tutors who are skilled at that and that can get your child those resources. So like I said, it's up to us to make those decisions. It's up to us to find the answers and not just rely on the system. We also have a big topic going on this week with the stimulus. And I've been waiting for today to talk about this because, especially on Christmas. So some people would say the current commander-in-chief is being a Grinch. We have an agreement on the table right now after months and months and months of deliberation for $600 per person in your household if you make under $75,000. Personally, I make more than $75,000, so I don't get anything out of that. But it's no reason that you shouldn't get anything out of it. And I think when we had a deal on the table that could have been signed into law by now, meaning that millions of people will be receiving aid probably starting next week that desperately need it, they won't get anything now because they're going to be squabbling back and forth and back and forth. Nobody goes back to work until after the new year. And then we're facing a government shutdown because that deal was a big part of that was the money to keep the government going. And, regardless of your political beliefs, there's a point as a human, you have to say, why stop progress? Why stop something that can help people? Why stop people from getting some sense of hope that, we're going to end the year off and we're going to give you something that may not have been what you're supposed to get. But then there's a second part to that as well. And that's our self-accountability. And that's why I keep telling you guys, it's time to boss up. It's time to figure out what it is you're good at. What is your passion, right? What is your purpose? How can you turn that into a profession and then you can get your profit? Because if you look at America, everybody who's become a mogul, a billionaire, whatever you want to call it, they've started their own business. Now, some of them, a lot of these people are saying, yo, quit your job and, start this business. I'm not here to tell you that. In fact, until your business is profitable, I don't think you should quit your job. You may find a different job that allows you to have the flexibility to put money and time and effort into your business. But if that's your only source of income right now, and then you're starting a business that you have no experience in, or even if you have experience in that field, you've never ran the whole show yourself, you need that job. And a lot of people don't want to face that. They want to, live this fantasy that we're going to be the same thing as becoming a professional athlete. I know plenty of them, professional artists. I know I was a professional artist at one time, and I know plenty of them. But what is going to sustain you while you're pursuing your dream? Why are we shaming people for keeping a roof over their head and keeping food on their table while they're pursuing their dream? The key is to take that money that you're earning and budget it and save it so that you can put it into your own business. Put it into places that are going to generate more money, right? Things that are going to grow in value. With, everything that, people open today, how much of it is going to grow in value tomorrow? Or how much of it is going to depreciate the minute that it was bought out of the store? And that's the things that we have to take responsibility for going forward. This is a new decade, and we have a chance to move forward, to change some things, right? There's a lot of people on the internet right now, and like I said, some people may not like it, but I'm going to keep it real. This Christmas, I'm keeping it 100. They're preaching generational wealth. I would argue most of them don't even know what that is. Generational wealth means that several generations, more than one, are going to reap the benefits. What does that really mean? That means you're building an empire. You're building a future for people you more than likely will never meet, right? That's your great-grandkids. That's your great-great-grands. Some of us of our age have grandchildren. A lot of us have children. Some of us don't. But you're building something for someone other than you. And it's going to take more than 2 years, a course, and a couple of rental properties to build generational wealth, right? How do you do that? You structure financial instruments, right? Find you a financial advisor. If you need help doing that, you can always call the number right there at the bottom of the screen. See this number? Call that number. And I can get you in contact with some people who can do that for you. But it's time to build a financial legacy. What is it going to be about? Is it about the gifts we're opening today? Or is it going to be about setting your kids up and setting yourself up for a financial future that doesn't end up in ruin? It's 2020 right now. For any of us that are 40 years old and older, you still got 27 years. The government claims 67 now is the new retirement age or qualification for Social Security. That's 2047. You know how much stuff is going to cost in 2047? A lot, right? So let's keep it real. How many of us have a financial future? And this is not to be down. This is not to, pull the mood down. This is about taking a moment, right? Now that the kids have gotten what they needed and, the family is sitting around and everybody's watching whatever they're watching, to start thinking, when next year starts, how are we going to change? How are we going to set up? Because you still have plenty of time. That's why I said, even if you're 40 years old, right, or older, you still have time to build something. But you have to understand that we have to do things differently than we used to doing them. We can't keep doing the same old thing and think it's going to be profitable, because it's just not. It hasn't proven to be. And judging by the point that millions of people are waiting on $600 to make their holiday, it's showing you that we're way more vulnerable. That's what I think this year is about, is exposing the vulnerabilities we have, which are real. We all have them. No matter how much you got, there's something that you could do a little better. So that's what I want to focus on. That's what I want you to focus on going into 2021. Some of these decisions are not easy. Some of these things are going to force you to really look at the people around you. Look how you've been spending your money, right? Look at your income after taxes to see what's left, right? And a lot of us are in denial. We're in denial. We're focused on trying to just put it off. We'll get to it later. We'll do that another time. We'll do that another year. This just ain't the time, right? But in reality, we'll never get the time if we don't start now, right? Tomorrow's going to come regardless, whether we're here or whether we're not. The question is, are you going to be prepared for it? Are you going to put yourself in position to win? Or are we going to just keep doing the same old thing every year? As we're getting older and not prepared, the future is coming. Because this time last year, nobody thought the world was shut down. Nobody thought that their whole company could shut down. Not just that they lost their job, the whole company shuts down. So, what do you do there? There's so many people who, thought that their health was in a lot better shape. Their health insurance was in a lot better shape, right? Their financial situation was in a lot better shape. They could withstand some things. And most people found out that they're not as good as they needed to be. But that doesn't mean that you can't change that. In fact, that's the first step to changing it, is acknowledging that, hey, these are some things we need to do to put us in a better position, right? So I'm going to take a quick minute. Let me spread the word. Just let people know we're on and what's going on. But like I said to you, y'all, we're going to get into it tonight. We got some real bosses that are coming to the table that are going to give their perspective on it, and let you know, where you may be missing and where you can fill in the gaps a little bit, where you can take your game to the next level. And so, like I said to you, we just need to, one day at a time, just focus on the things that are going to change the game for you. But other than that, like I said, just focus on the things that. But as I'm saying to you now, let's take this time to appreciate the fact that we made it this far. It's everybody didn't make it this far. Everybody didn't get this opportunity. Everybody's not sitting here around the table. Some families, there's people missing, and we should be grateful for that we're able to still have another day to make a decision. And that's one thing from Soul that they did kind of, I did think was good, because they touched on tomorrow, the next day, having that choice to change everything. But you have to have the guts to want to change it. You have to realize that, what, maybe I'm doing some things a different way. Maybe, maybe I'm just not where I thought I would be in life. And that's okay. That's okay. Hold on one second. Just letting everybody get my guests together. And then we're going to get down to it, and then we're going to get back to our holiday. But I wanted to be here tonight, regardless of who's here, because you'll see the replay anyway, to just kind of get some things on the table and give you some things to think about, because we have to at some point look at our role in our situations. And what is it going to take to change the narrative? What is it going to take to make the progress to finally get over the hump, to get yourself to the point where you feel fulfilled? A lot of people are chasing happy. Happy is just an emotion. Fulfilled is a state of being, because if I'm fulfilled, then I'm not chasing something. I'm actually, content with where I'm at. I feel like I'm doing what I feel like I need to be doing. And I'm not every single day looking for what I don't have, because I'm fulfilled. If my plate is full, I'm not looking back at the buffet of what else is over there. And those are the things that we have to struggle to overcome. Most people have to struggle to overcome it, Because no matter how much you attain, no matter how much success you get, no matter how great your business does, there's always going to be somebody who you think is, who people think is doing a little better, or they have a little more, they have a nicer car, or they have it. But it's not about that. It's about the impact you're making every single day. It's about the value you're delivering in your businesses. That's something else I wanted to talk about. Are you solving problems? Are you solving problems? Does your business solve the problem? The best marketing in the world is somebody who's a happy, satisfied customer. They're going to tell everybody they know. Just like if you have a customer who you treated poorly, they're going to let people know. So you want to focus on delivering value, but what does that really mean, right? That's a buzzword of 2020, value, delivering value. In my opinion, delivering value is solving the problem, whether it's just answering a question or providing a service that does what it says it's going to do and more. If you focus on that, the word's going to spread. If you have a good business, even when you start doing your marketing, people want to jump straight to marketing and they have a crappy service, or they're unorganized. They can't keep up with the business when the business does take off. And that's not really where we want to be. We want to be in a place where you can provide a good service on a continuous basis, and then you can market it and let other people know that you provide this good service. And then you have these customers who are going to give you testimonials, who are going to be your social proof. They're going to become your ambassadors. They're going to become people who believe in your product, right? Big shout out to my man, Jody. Like you said, value is solving the problem. That's exactly right. Because if you don't solve my problem, how much value did you give me, right? That's why I said it's a buzzword. Everybody's, got these buzzwords that they're slapping on their commercials and their sales funnel pages. But when you actually get the product, it's lackluster. And that's really what's going on. There's a lot of people telling you to buy their course or buy their system or whatever it is, and that's cool, right? This is America. But at the end of that training, do you have a skill, or has your problem been solved, right? Because if not, you could have had a great time. You could have, had some good energy. You got motivated. But now when the rubber hits the road, what happens then? So that's why I want you to think about tonight and really just figure out what it is that you're good at that can solve people's problems. A lot of people, there are other people selling thousands and thousands of dollars for training to tell you they're going to take you to some other level, right? But what I would say, or to get these high paying clients, that's the next buzzword. Oh, we can get you these high ticket clients, which you can find. But you know how you find them, right? You solve high ticket problems. You find problems that are expensive to fix. And then you present yourself if you have the skill set to do it. A lot of us are not underestimating the value of our skill set. Right? We want these, high. We want to make 6 figures and up in our businesses, 7 figures and up in our businesses. But you have to find a service people need, and then perform that service in a professional manner and deliver the results. People pay for results. If I pull up to McDonald's and I make an order and they give me a good speech and they come out and sing a song and they wash my car, but they never gave me my order, they didn't solve my problem, right? So therefore, it's as simple as that. And a lot of times we're making this more complicated than it has to be. It's really not complicated, y'all. All we have to do is find a way to communicate what we do to the people who need it. And that's where marketing comes in, and that's where social media comes in. That's where storytelling is coming in. You have to learn how to tell your story, or build a marketing strategy that tells the story, right? That's going to put you in another spot. Now, that being said, we got one of our guests in the building. I'm going to bring him on right now. Let him talk to the people. My man, Mr. BossWood himself. What's going on with you, bro?
Uh-oh.
I can hear
I
you. Go
can't hear
ahead.
nothing.
You should have a. You see a mic?
Yo, I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So yeah, this is Mr. BossWood, one of the top artists on the rise, man. Let the people know who you are and what you do.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is BossWood, and I would like to let you know that you are not a fan. You are a CEO, and I make rap music.
All right, that's what's up. Now let's break that down. When you try to tell people that they're not a fan, they're a CEO, break that down. What that means to you.
Basically, being a fan, anybody can be a fan of anything. You know what I'm saying? So, but when I call you a CEO, it's a sense of entitlement, it's a sense of endearment, and it's encouraging. Because being a human being, we've all been called everything under the sun. How have you ever been called a powerful person, a powerful individual? You know what I'm saying? Have you been told that you enlighten someone? You know what I'm saying? So when by me calling you a CEO, it's just me speaking that over you, man. Just hopefully you grasp it and catch your blessing.
Right, right, right. Now let people know how you got into music, and what how you learned what your purpose was and your pursuit of your ultimate goals.
I got into music, I want to say around when I was 13 years old. And it was always a little hobby, you know what I'm saying? I was always a music connoisseur in the beginning, like listening to a lot of dope artists and stuff. But
Mhm.
for the most part, when it became more serious for me, it was in high school. I started getting a lot of praise around school for the music that I was putting out. And I was like, hey man, like I could really do this. And so lo and behold, man, a couple years after high school, I found my flow, started coming up with my bars and everything. Everything started hitting.
Right, right, right. So it looks like you take a lot of time when you're putting your music together. I took some, I was listening to some of your stuff, and we're gonna give them a little sneak peek before the show's over. But what is your style? What is your process when you walk in the studio? Are you somebody who hears the music first and then let that guide, what you write, or are you a person who can just put everything together, and once you get a vibe, or you might have an idea and then find the music that fits that.
I like to sit at home with the music first. I feel like in order to be a boss, you got to know how to spend your money wisely. I feel like if you're going in the studio and you just waiting to catch that vibe while you're there, the whole time you standing there waiting for that vibe to hit you, time rolling. You know what I'm saying? That's money
Right,
wasted. You know what I'm saying? So
right,
I sit at home with the music and be as constructive and productive as I possibly can in the comforts of my own home. And by the time I make it to the studio, it's perfected, ready to go. Just give me a mic check.
right, right, right. So, like I said, what are some of your experiences when you were just starting out? When a lot of artists don't realize it when they think they just gonna make that first single and then they're gonna be on the road and they're gonna be a superstar. But let people know, some of those early struggles of building a fan base and trying to develop your sound, and as you go through those levels.
I remember the first person I tried to get to buy music from me, it was my teacher. She told me no. She said, I'm not buying it. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm literally trying to make money off this. Like, and you're not gonna purchase it? Like, I'm your student. And that like
Right,
really sat with me for a long time. And I was like, okay, so if you're gonna make this your thing, you got to make it presentable to where other people will want to buy into it just by looking at it. So sometimes
right,
presentation or sell whatever you have to sell. And
right.
a lot of those early struggles when they come to like finding your bars and stuff is just I feel like honestly to any artist that may be watching, I'm gonna tell you this, and I don't know if I can curse or not.
I
I
mean, we
can
try
curse.
to keep it clean. Like, it ain't crazy, but we try to keep it professional a little bit.
Okay, even the bull deserves a page.
Right.
You know
I'm
what I'm
with you.
saying?
I'm with you. Now we got another guest getting ready to come in once they lining up. But while we got you right here, man, it's a few topics that's going on in the industry. I was talking about what's going on as far as these stimulus checks, man. A lot of people have been struggling this year. They told us, they were going to cut a little check, little 600. Now your boy talking about he ain't convinced, man. But for people who are trying to pursue life right now, right? Let's not even take it to a career or a business. What are some words of encouragement you could give them? Because in my mind, what that revealed was the vulnerability we're under right now. A lot of people thinking that stuff is sweet out here, or they had the little magic sauce that was going to get them through, only to find out this thing lasted a lot longer, and it's going to still last a lot longer than most people think.
Right. My greatest word of encouragement, man, is just push through. Prayer without
Right.
works is dead. You know what I'm saying? So don't just
Right.
sit here and pray to God. Put yourself in motion, and your prayers will be answered.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, man, when times become trying like these, you have to try a little harder. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And it doesn't always have to be with the criminal mischief and stuff like that. I done seen people get that extra EBT, sell plates, turn it into real money.
Right. Right. And that's real. I mean, that's all about what you hustle, man. You definitely got to be a hustler. Mr. Smith, when you're ready, just let me know and I'll bring you in. But like I said, it's definitely a pleasure to have you on. How'd you spend your holiday?
Oh man, I just spun it in good company, man. Good people, good vibes, man. Big shout out to my dog, Mr. Joe.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. So, what's Christmas like out there in the Midwest, man?
Hey man, it's cold. I ain't gonna lie. It's cold. And then the way JSO trolling the streets, hey, drive safe out there. Do not drink and drive.
Yeah, I could definitely second that. You want to make sure you're safe. It's always somebody that drink a little too much. Always that uncle that's sipping a little too much yak. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But it's all good, man. We were talking about the movie Soul earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to catch it. It just came out today, but in that movie, there's a character. His name is Joe Gardner.
Okay.
And he's trying to become a jazz musician. And then, when he finally gets his big opportunity, life is snatched from him. And I was telling the audience that that's a great parable, because while we're on our journey, this pandemic in a way has snatched a lot of stuff that nobody could have thought. When you might have been at your biggest point, right? And then all of a sudden everything is shut down. For artists, it's been really hard, because one of the ways, especially with emerging and new artists, that they build a fan base is through touring and doing shows and opening up for bigger artists. So just talk about how that's impacted you a little bit.
I'm gonna be honest, it hadn't slowed me down a bit. You know what I'm saying? Me personally. You know what I'm saying? When quarantine first kicked off, I was in a position to just say, hey, I'm discounting my price. Y'all shot with me. I rolled in 10K, no problem.
Okay, that's good. That's what's up, man. I mean, like I said, now you seem to have musical talent as well as just, lyrical. Do you play any instruments or anything like that?
I used to play the tuba in the band. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Nah, that's what's up, man. Hey, man, it ain't too a lot of tuba guys out there. You feel me? Hey,
Right.
you gotta be thorough too, man. You walking home with a tuba, man. You know what I mean? You make it back and forth every day. It's definitely challenging, man. But let's get my man Mr. Smith in the building, man. What's going on?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you scoot over a little bit? Okay. Yeah, now you.
All right, hold on.
All right.
All right.
What's going on, brother? Introduce yourself. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, please.
Hey, Merry Christmas, man. Merry Christmas, boss.
Hey,
I hear you guys talking to boss talk.
Yes, sir. We had to get you on the platform, man. So tonight's topic is finding your purpose. So let the people know, what it is you do and how your purpose, has led you to where you are.
Well, first of all, purpose has everything to do with energy and God, first and foremost. And my purpose is here just as, a vessel that connects to, other vessels to find themselves, in a better space. You know what I mean? And I can, I can talk a little bit about it. I don't want to kill my biopic, you know what I mean? But it's integral for change, as we see. And and that's been my purpose since day one, whether it was being an intricate soul. As a young person, I was in hip hop, even being a break dancer or a rapper, you know, actually ended up getting into the real business of it. You know what I mean? And so those connection pieces, I don't look at it as music. And you know, now I don't look at it as music. I look at it as frequency. And the frequency at this moment in time on the earth is you know, is taking an utter change, which, you know, which in a base can actually help us, you know, being we're in a revealing space. So, you know, I'm a day one person, so we can get into, you know, any type of conceptual space when you talk about purpose.
Right.
Oh, so y'all, a lot of people that don't know me, like, hey man, you know, they know me as Casper, blah blah blah. You know, I got over 40 platinum records, and that's from marketing. And each day I kind of see my brain why these people had to pay me. And you know, I made a transition, and not just music. I'm a part of the economic development of music, you know, and I want to say that because, you know, I have some intricate storylines within the music business, you know, that actually is part of what the infrastructure is in hip hop today.
Right.
So yeah, so you know that.
Right. Right. And that's what I wanted to. If I do put you on mute, it's just for the feedback. So you know, just I will go back and forth, and then I'll unmute you. But when I did a little more research, man, you definitely are a brother that I like to say, like you, as you just said, your impact behind the scenes has been, you know, tremendous. And a lot of us, the younger artists, don't understand that the longevity in the music business mostly happens behind the scenes. The people who conceptualize the marketing ideas, the people who, as they call them now, dot connectors, the people who are just do stand-up business end up, you know, hey, the name on the label may change, but you know, your connections and your resume speaks for itself. So for somebody who is a young person right now in the game, and they're looking at the rappers who are hot right now, but they may feel they have other talents. What's some advice that you can give to them to pursue a career in music that may not be musically talented, but they can still make an impact?
Well, you know, I'm gonna keep it old school, you know, but I'm gonna bring some new, and I'm gonna say this to say the game is to be sold, not to be told. And when I say that because everybody has an opportunity to pick up a book, but what you can't buy is this experience. And when I say experience, I don't say that just in a success space. I say that in a mistake space. So a lot of us, when we looked at the detachment, we should have watched Black Panther. They were letting us know we have a problem with we have a few problems. You know, the biggest problem we got is conditioning. So a lot of the young artists, I'm from LA too, so you got to understand, I don't knock uh any exposure to expression is what I call it. You know, I'm from a kid from Los Angeles, and I've been through, you know, just everything that you see today, you know, in a culture space that has actually went across the country, which has saddened me to something that I was involved in and being impressionable on our community. So what I say to people, and I say to the young cats, is that, hey, I don't deny if you're in a trap. I don't deny what you do out here. You know, I mean, even the D-boy to me is turned to the, you know, the scammer. They online with, you know, just this whole space. So all I can say is that to the young guys, the number one thing I'm gonna tell you, and this is the free jewel of all jewels, the music is a business. So you need to treat the business as such. And that's all I'm gonna leave for you, because there's money in the business. And if we don't establish, you know, that, then in an infrastructural space, if you're in a management space, you know, if you're in a label space, if you're an A&R, you know, if you're somebody that's connecting as an OG in the neighborhood, if you're not connecting the pieces of structure in business for the younger ones, then we're at a fail. And you shouldn't follow anybody that comes to you off the rip and says, hey, I want to do all these things, and didn't structure your business. That's a
Right, and I definitely want to follow up on that, and I'll let BossWood, chime in on that as well because I'm a firm believer in that, and that's why I said this platform is to help take entertainers and turn them into entrepreneurs. What a lot of people don't understand is they don't have their business correct. We've all done it. We've all been young. We've all been in the studio, trying to make a record or get on or get signed, and we're so focused on that you don't copyright your music. You don't establish your company. You don't set up your publishing. You don't do any of the things. And the manager comes along, I got you, right? Oh, we're going to take care of that. Don't worry about that. And then you find out, years later, we just had the situation of Weezy selling his masters. Now, it might be a few reasons he did that. So do you think, what do you think from an industry insider's perspective? And then we'll get BossWood's comments.
I need to. I don't know if it was your phone, but I hear you, but I don't.
Okay, you might have to. Let me see. I could turn my mic up a little bit.
Hold on.
1 2 1 2.
It's kind of. I hear you, but it's kind of low.
Okay. All right. My question was about Weezy with the publishing. What do you think about Lil Wayne selling his publishing?
Well, I mean, we just saw LA sell his publishing. I mean, you got to ask yourself: is his publishing? I mean, publishing was something that was allocated to build as an asset. I mean, it was a compound interest, something that will always have growth. Same thing. But along with that, establishing, new businesses. If people didn't really understand what this whole thing was about, it was really about research. I don't see anybody selling anything off that was worth that amount of money, and that would just sell that off without understanding that there is a reset in the currency. You know what I mean? So, as I said, if we see Lil Wayne selling publishing, we see L.A. Reid. I can imagine what type of publishing L.A. Reid has.
Yeah.
Label on. I looked at the PRO rules probably about 4 years ago, and that was when they were starting to change the rules, and they had to maybe a little bit further than that, 5, but they just started to progress and change the rules on the PRO, establishing the amount of funding that would be allocated for streaming.
Right.
And when we looked at these PROs, we had to look at the infrastructure where we came from. Now that destroyed a lot of, like, we went in steps, like, those that have started from the street team, like you'll see right now. And shout out to the senior VP and partner Will Wallace. He's the senior VP at Warner Brothers, but he started in the street space. When we started in street space, like my first record within like those regional spaces was like Pastor Troy, playing Jay. But when we'll see him today, he'll still be moving. And the reason why he moves today is because the record it was a good record. The record had emphasis in the market, but it was tangible.
Right.
See, it was a tangible product. If you notice right now, there's something that you can't touch. It doesn't have as much value, and it doesn't have as much work. And that's the intricate part also about the business that I like to talk to young people about when they get into it. I mean, you have to really look at time and effort. And then you got the other side where boy DJ Billy, Bill, Jimmy Iovine's nephew. Now he's the A&R that was at Interscope at Lay as president. Now he signed Soulja Boy, and I just always remember he'll be in the studio. Man, I love this. He can go in there and make a record in 2 seconds,
right?
And we make millions,
right?
You know what I mean? So so there's an adjustment in 2 ways. I think that the publishing is just a royalty, in fact, that you should keep. I think that they basically see that the infrastructure can change because of the base in which people are paying out. I mean, with the amount of work, and then now they can take out money out of the streaming process now and allocate. It will come right back.
Right.
See, that's what we didn't look at. This music is who cares? Like a Lil Wayne or a Pharrell, or they took Happy, they took it off. Well, I just sold that. It wouldn't matter. It would build right back out. That record is going to be ongoing forever. Like Nat King, Cole. We know the number one song that's played. This song goes number one every single year.
Right.
From 1 to 92, it plays every year.
Right.
And this record goes number one. So it doesn't matter. If he sells off his publishing, he's doing it in the asset space probably to, offset the cash. Hey, that's a lot of cash that you can leverage out. They could probably take this cash and go get the building.
Right.
And base themselves in a bit. Yeah, I mean, those that understand, we won't have a full financial conversation, but the amount of currency that's involved a lot of times, we're making, quadruple the amount off the leverage of the cash. So you just got to think where the real business is.
That's interesting. Let's see for BossWood, what do you think about that topic? You being an artist that just came out and that's pursuing, your rise in the game. What do you think about the whole publishing situation?
I feel like
what Kaspa was talking about.
Yeah, I feel like you should try to aim to keep it. I mean, I just had a conversation like that last night. You putting your blood, sweat, and tears into everything that you do as an artist. So why shouldn't you be able to reap the benefits of it? You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, it's a lot of situations that can be presented to you to where stuff like that will be waived or whatever the case may be. Whatever works best for you. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like if you're gonna give some away, but make sure it's the best move for yourself and your brand. But I'm me personally, I'm not giving up. I'm gonna try to keep all of it. But also to add, I like this conversation, bro. He got a lot of wisdom.
That's why he's on Boss Talk, man. I bring the bosses to the table, man. And also, I wanted to say thank you. I know it's the holidays. I'm not going to try to keep you all night, but, I see the Toys in the Hood effort that you guys do year in and year out. I wanted to salute you on that. And it's if you wanted to talk about that and, you being somebody who gives back to the community, and how that interacts. Yeah, definitely. Toys in the Hood, 2020. He's been doing it for years, man. So talk about how that started and what you plan to achieve with that as you go forward.
Well, hold on 1 second. DG. Oh, nephew in the studio. Toys in the Hood. Yeah, man. We about 20 years in, I started it. I started it in probably 99. And the first artist I did it with, well, really when I started moving, being from LA and I came out here to Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Being from Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Hey, and I wanted to plug, real quick. You can just shop.
All right.
Right. He was really one of the people too this year that tapped into Toys in the Hood. You know what I mean? That's DG. He's a producer. He produced a new record with 42 Doug.
Okay.
And that's what it was all about. Like that's what this is. It's like I can't tell. Like he did Toys in the Hood since 2012, 2011. This year he's more intricately involved. But then on the reference, you know what I'm saying, when you think about the energy that's been involved with Toys in the Hood, I go all the way back to like Master P or A-Ball and MJG. That was the first person I did it with. And it was basically like when I first made my first little piece of money in the music business, I wanted to be able to give every little kid, toy in the project. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen, like, we got Nickerson Gardens, we got the jungles, but man, the art project versus what I saw in Atlanta, I was like, yo, and it's not as bad as Chicago. Like, you know what I'm saying? Chicago, like I said, like I've been in Chicago and I was like, man, being from LA, like, this is real. And that I'm just saying from an OG standpoint, like being on 10th Street and State, back then with Sabrina Green's though. But, I started it initially because, everything that I do it on purpose. What we talked about at the beginning. So of course, I was pushing music and I already knew where the energy was coming from. So every last one of these kids, it was like it was crazy. Like when I spoke with Soldier Boy, like he was one person too. You know, I took you gotta imagine like waking up in the morning, you know, and you got Chris Brown at your door,
Right.
and it's Christmas.
Right.
Follow what I'm saying? Like
Right.
what I mean, you know, like I had, you know, Chris Brown did it. You know, I had Jeezy running through 4 You know what I'm saying? Like even when, you know, like I told Meech, I was like, you know, we can't just be out here, you know, doing y'all. We gotta be inside these communities because, you know, that's what cause the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like we gotta show that there's love out here for everybody, you know. And the biggest thing about it that I loved was even from 2 Chainz, just watching if you go to the website, like this was a time when, you know, the artists they were just starting to get a good record, a good frequency, a good movement. And you know, connecting that energy and giving back and being about the people was only going to take their careers to the next level because you also got to understand that I understand as a connector and what I was talking about before, like the first time that I ever did Toys in the Hood in LA, you know, it was the first time that Kendrick and Nip performed together, and it was their first time performing in LA, like, you know, in that type of space, community space.
Right.
You know, it was the first time J Rock introduced Kendrick Lamar on stage.
Right.
You know, and I had that content and to show, you know, just these connector pieces matters. You know what I mean? You know, if I go to an intricate story like one year, I know we had paid somebody rent for the whole year. The story was crazy. You know, the story was about because I was in the mall signing people up, and a lady had talked to my mom, and you know, she marked her name. She said, "Make sure you look for this lady right." You know what I'm saying? And you know you're gonna do what your mama says. So,
Right.
you know,
Right. Yeah,
I
mom
was
do.
like, all right. So at night, I went out and went to all the houses. I wanted to make sure that people were really struggling. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I came out at 2 in the morning. I wanted to see what was really going on.
Right.
And when I knocked on the door, it was a little kid, and the kid was looking. He was like, hey, and he was like, Mama, Mama, I told you it was real. I told you it was real. And so I had these commercials running. And what had happened, the son told his mama to come to the mall. But see, the son went to school with my daughter. And see, her school I sponsor. I do all the pep rallies, you know, everything for the school. And so
Right.
when I did the Toys in the Hood event there, her son is the one that always get on stage and dance. You know what I'm saying? And do the
Right.
content. So
Right.
I know him. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking like,
Right.
I open the door, I'm looking like, oh, this crap. I'm like, why you? He's like, yeah. And I look down, it's like 6 kids on the floor. And I was like, this is
That's good, man.
right here. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So these are real intricate stories like this happening. You know, I remember Gucci was in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Well, you know, he was always, you know, he's good now, but it was the time, you know what I'm saying? You know, so I helped him out by getting community service together. It was when French didn't even have no deal. He was trying to figure it out. It was right before he hit that big song in New York. It was
Right.
French, you know what I'm saying? It was French. It was this year I had French, I had Gucci, I had Waka, and matter of fact, that was the same year I broke YC, and that was when I did YC was with us too. That was when I did Rap on Rap. I broke Rap, and then the crazy part, the next year is when I did Future. You know,
Right.
Tony Montana, right? So you know, this has been an intricate part of just having people, you know, involved and giving back to the community. And I think that was most important, a big part of my career. You know, it not just being on the music. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, being street was somebody that really came to me, and we just had the same wave when it came to the people. You know, that's why he's still in radio today. That's why he's still one of the biggest radio jockeys today because he deals with the people. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Yeah, that was what it was about. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at Nip was known across the world because he dealt with the people.
Right.
Feel me? So that was something like it goes further, and then that helped me. You know, I got my own curriculum now. You know, I got my own STEM program. Like if you saw Nip and Sam, like you know, we've been working on the STEM stuff. So I got my own curriculum in like 40 schools. So you know, we keep it moving. You know, we doing what we need to do, and we adjust, you know, to the climate. You know what I mean? That's what we got to do. You know, it makes more sense for the community space and to do that and adjust people to understand that people are here, and not just this year, because like this year we did this temple, Solomon's Temple, this women's show. But you know, I did a landscape company, so now we doing greenhouses. You know, we get in the agricultural space. You know, and like this year's dope. So we about to build this greenhouse at this shelter. You know what I'm saying? So these women will be able to have food throughout, you know, the process of learning how to grow and enhance their lives. You know,
Right.
that energy means more than anything. Not to say it's a Walmart across the street, but I just tap into the business. You know what I mean? Like I love music, but now but now that I'm on this business craze, like business is man, the business is fun. People got to do their business. So,
Right. And I see that you're passionate about that. And I was gonna say to you, as far as when you were talking about the greenhouses, have you ever met the gangster gardener? Because
Gangster Garden.
yeah, the guy, I think he's from South Central, and he started the gardens in LA.
Oh, nah, I heard about that though. I
Yeah.
heard about that. He messing with my homegirl. They have also they do tomatoes. This lady make $1 million. All she do is organic tomatoes. She sells it to Asia. I mean, she went through a space now because of import export, but that's what she's been doing. I mean, she's been doing organic tomatoes and making $1 million. You know, but like with my whole plan too now is that I already did like about 13 gardens this year with my landscape company. So I'm doing this thing called 100 gardens, 100 acres. You know what I'm saying? So we just applying pressure. We doing that.
Right, definitely, man. I mean, that's something that is very important, and it's dope to see people from the culture who have a different variety of things that they're about. I think a lot of our artists are getting typecast into, as you were saying, they only see them from a street perspective. But when you see them giving back to the community, you see that they're from here, and they could be inspiration. They can be somebody who can be looked at. They don't have to necessarily be a role model, but they can be somebody say, hey, this is somebody who came out and took it to the next level, and he's showing these youth that it's more to it than just the street. You do what you need to do to get, established, but then now where you going to pivot to from there, right? So I just wanted to definitely agree with you. I think that that's something important, and it looks like your philanthropic things, I could just see your reactions. You're getting more out of life for doing for other people than necessarily how many Lambos we gonna buy, how many mansions we gonna get. We like nice stuff too, but you get more out of giving back to other people. So I just wanted to commend you on that. And
yeah, I mean it's an energy, and when I say the energy, and you had spoken on economic development, like when I say that, I go back to the parts like I said, like the beginning of Atlanta, I mean, and we talk about business. Somebody look at his rule. I learned from somebody that actually still in the business, which was Baby. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my one of my sacrifices in my career was being 2 years on the road for the actress. You know what I mean? And that was before we ended up getting that $30 million deal with Universal. So I seen the whole time in a real space from somebody that understood this business. And he's still in it today, no matter what they want to say. They doing business. And then the other thing you talk about with economic development, I didn't really understand it. I had a vision. So basically, when I already put all those people on in Atlanta, I was like, I need to go to the crib. I need to go home and get my house right. I need to clean up my house, And saying that, like, you couldn't really get in if you were more Dr. Dre or Ice Cube or DJ Quick or Warren. We didn't really hear a lot of the LA music. You know what I'm saying? And I got an opportunity to tap in with YG, Ty, and Mustard. And I tied in with Nip. I started telling him we got to start coming to Atlanta. So, I brought Nip to Atlanta for his first time. And moved him around. Found out Alex was his cousin, so that was pretty much the plug right there. there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like those that are in the music business, if you need, I mean, from that. And then the other thing was, you know, YG Daddy lived here. You know what I'm saying? Another component that was a good talk. You know, doing that, you know, that's how YG and Nick hooked up. You know what I'm saying? You know, because that interview was brought to them, and you know, they had to see like we're not just killing each other. You know, people ain't killing each other in the South. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is a change for me. You know what I mean? So, you know, and then blowing them up, bringing them, you know, in Def Jam, and just tell you like these labels that y'all trying to feed into, they didn't even really believe in them. Like they try to give me $2,000 to take them on the 28 city tour. I just said, nah, you keep. I took that money. You get that right. I took that money and I put up my money to take them out because
Right.
it was more important to put my city on versus just, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, it was bigger than that. You know what I mean? So,
And that's the key. That's the key. I wanted the audience to soak that up because
so them sacrifices,
right.
look what that brought on.
Right.
We got Donald Trump. I don't know, you know, he passing out the paper right now. I don't know how that is. But you know, we got intricate things in the you know, in the universe today. You know what I'm saying? Especially for Los Angeles. Like once they hit, LA was gone. Like LA was back up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that allows, you know, that allows me to move. Like I move a lot of cats ask me, like when you go to LA because the culture moves around. I might see people with this person. I move around. You know what I'm saying? You know, because it's more important for me to be able to establish, establish our people. So there's other markets out here, and that's what we're doing this year, 2021. Like we can go into a couple other markets. You know what I'm saying? We can go into some markets, you know, develop and you know, bring what we brought, you know, to the ATL. You know what I'm saying? Bring what we brought, bringing that energy so these other markets can you know, have energy and build it. Other kids need to see success and have that energy in order for others to see success. You know what I mean? And there's a system in it. You know what I'm saying? And when we talk about a system, it's a real system. You know what I'm saying? And making that happen. You know, and that's all I can say. You know, 20 years ago today, I was in the penitentiary. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I made, you know, 100 something, maybe $200,000 in the penitentiary. So it's like it's different kind of cats out here, and I know who I am in purpose. So that's why I go back to saying about purpose. You know what I mean? Like you walk around and you cannot have purpose because you're misinformed.
Right.
But the number one thing you got to understand that everybody should learn right now today, just learn you something every single day.
Right.
Learn something. That's what you got to do. Period.
And that's deep, man. I was gonna touch on one of the points you made about the label giving you a small budget for a promo run. And I was going to say my personal experience watching Murder Inc. up close, right? I had a manager who was very influential back in the early 2000s, and I got a chance to see how Murder Inc. not only would use whatever Def Jam was doing, but they would reinvest and they had their own street team. I watched the Diplomats, you know what I'm saying, take whatever Def Jam or whatever Rockefeller was doing, and I saw them have dudes with 1,000. That's back in the days when we had the CD boxes, and you had 1,000 CDs in a box, and they would stop in front of every club on a Saturday night and make sure everybody got the mixtapes, right? So that's an important lesson. Kaspa's dropping some super jewels tonight, but one of the best jewels he dropped was that most people just gloss over that, right? And he talks about Nipsey and he talks about YG, the reinvesting into your product, into your brand, and then look at the return. And also it gives you leverage in negotiations because now they gave me a few dollars. Okay, cool. But look, we were able to take that and double it up. And now we have a fan base. Now we have momentum. Now we have a buzz. And now you got to open up the account. You can't sit here and say we're going to just give you a little piece of that. Now they want to jump on it, right? And the famous video from Dame Dash, big shout to Dame. I've had a couple of meetings with him, but just learning from him of, when he was up there on the Breakfast Club, and then his famous movie with Def Jam, the Backstage movie, where he's getting on Kevin Liles, right? He's telling him, y'all didn't put up no money for the tour, But now the tour jumping off. Now here you come with the Def Jam jackets. Big shout out to Def Jam. You know I love everybody over there. But it just was a classic scene because
Right.
it's showing the independent hustle and grind and what you talked about with vision. And the people with the money don't always have the vision. That's why we're the creators. We have the vision. We bring the talent. We get the energy. We get the streets buzzing. And then a lot of artists don't have the team around them who can go. Now, maybe that wasn't the right way for Dame to communicate that, right? We all know how Dame can get down, but his heart was in the right place of saying, hey, we put our bread on the line. We out here, 50 cities, you know, getting the insurance for these arenas, moving all these people around. That's 10, 12 buses, right? So a lot of these expenses, what you talked about with people who have been around the business, understand what it looks like to do this for real. And I tell people all the time, when they want to get on and they want to get started, if they don't understand, okay, this may just get my record played. What happens when the record hits? What happens when 10 DJs are calling, hey, we can get you on stage, we can get you at Summer Jam, we can get you, but you got to get here, right? And a lot of us that come from the different neighborhoods, because you talked about Los Angeles, like I'm from New Jersey, right? In the city, same thing. And we had some cats that made it to the league, some cats that should have made it to the league that did 20, you know what I mean? So it's the same dynamic and it's the choices we make. But a lot of times you can't blame the artist because the dude that got the 100 bands, you know what I'm saying? He may not always did the right thing to get the 100 bands, right? But that's who invested in you. That's who believed in you. These dudes sitting up in the office, they didn't even want to talk to you till you got a buzz. So, you know, it's a process of maturity. It's a process of development, as you're saying, and understanding the value of your brand and believing in it enough to invest in it, and then understanding what you need to really play the game. You see what I mean? People don't understand. They think everything is free, and you may have all the connections. You may know everybody, but at some point, to make your stuff or your presence really felt and to turn this into a business, you have to have some investment. So I definitely, you know, would you know, salute all the knowledge that you're dropping, but I wanted the audience to get that. Well, we do this.
That's the part when you know we got to have a little bit of the soul not to be told. You know, only reason why I can it's in a book, and I can't. You know, we can't put in all those works, but what we can do is give you the guidance that's out there that's free. You know, and then you can obtain that information. I was doing this thing called opt-in probably about 3 years ago. You know, people were accepted to it, but you know, it wasn't moving as fast. But now it's like it's going as the locomotive. You know what I mean? When I say that, and I can speak on it. I can speak on this mistake today. You know, I know a lot of people. You know, a lot of people in their life. You know, if they knew they could make $100,000 a month, you know, in this music business, they would be like, you know, wow. You know, but it wasn't, it's never about that. It's about what we do in the funnel. Because I'll take that same thing and I'll look at somebody that, you know, actually has a regular job. Now, when I say this, it's 11,000 millionaires in America today. 31% of them have regular jobs. And when I say regular, they can have regular jobs. Yeah, I'm going to say that again. There's 11,000 millionaires in America today. And 31% of them have regular jobs. So it's not about the money. It's about how we moving the money, how we funneling the money. It's how we're, you know, basing our infrastructure. It's about understanding compound interest. It's about understanding, you know, what an IRA is. It's a bunch of things, you know. But the bottom line is just getting your business structure in order. Because once you start understanding that, the due process, you know, for 4 to 6 months for everybody to change their life, if they understood it, they would understand this. You know, like in my landscape, I got a guy, we call him Big Jew. Now he got about 40 corporate big buildings. But when I go to his crib and we do his when you do his house, you never know. You never know. And one thing he came up on me, he bought me this book. He said, yeah, man, I bought you this book. I want you to go read it. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. A lot of people have read this book. You know, and if you haven't read this book, you need to go get it. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. He told me something. He was pay yourself and don't eat your kids.
Right.
I really couldn't. I understood to pay myself, but then you have to understand how you pay yourself. The other thing, the next thing was don't eat your kids. And when I thought about it, I was like, if we had the information, and I teach, and this is one thing about it, I teach middle school and high school. So one of the appropriate things that I adjust to tell them in the beginning is that I don't believe in when I grow up. Like, we're not going to start there. You just cut that off in your mind, because that was a lie. As soon as they gave you that, when I grow up, it put a condition in your space, because you always thought that you would have this space. Right. And to be honest, like, we're in a preparational space that we've been conditioned to being misinformed. And so, some people come to the people, to adjust. And, sometimes, like they were talking, like a lot of the major cats, you see them selling their stuff off because it's time for a new infrastructure.
Right.
And I understand it, because you can't have another number one genre of music and it's your music and it's your culture, and you making less money from starting $20 a CD going all the way down now. And when I say that, I was involved with Beats by Dre, so I knew about it 5 years before it hit. I knew some other things that was said at the meeting, but the one thing that I would say is that, like I'm gonna make this point. I was talking to my daughter. She does some big business. You know what I'm saying? As a graduate from college, she does, things, and she's in marketing. So she was like, "Well, yeah, I do mobile ID and doing something. I do data analytics, and I catch this for a company called Simon, which the people that own the mall." And I'm like, "Whoa." I said, she was like, I said, "Well, what you need to do is go ahead and learn, and maybe establish on your own." She was like, "Well, I'm just not like you. I don't want to be an entrepreneur." I said, "That's cool. You ain't got to be an entrepreneur, but you need to open your business."
Right. Right. And
maybe I need to say that again for those out there.
Yeah, let's say that again. Let's read.
It might be a little look. So what we doing this year, man? Because I'm getting tapped on. What we doing this year though is gonna be so dope, man. We got all DJs matter. We got my DJs dope. I switched it from the Hitman. I did a lot of things with that DJ platform. Started DJing to creating the Hitman, and so that was super dope for me watching Gucci DZ at that time. So that was super hard. But now with this all DJs matter, and just really that's on the music side. But we got a technology company that we dropped 2021, and we got a financial back end we getting ready to drop. So it's just a different type of game. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm an educator. I'm in like 40 schools, but I'm about to expand. You know what I mean? And it's just in a space where we do need new infrastructure. We got our own baseline channel and film company, so we got a new movie series called The Grid. It's on Amazon Prime with DC on Wood, and Keith Robinson. And it's just, we're trying to just do something new. We're not sticking in. If it's not innovative, we don't like being a part of it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
all I can say is that in this new day coming in 2021, our plan is structured. Any and everybody with a dream, man, with the right information, so they can apply themselves, in a proper space. I did it in a fashion of doing it, like I said, exposure expression, and I did it in a fashion where I just wanted to help people no matter what, without anybody trying to tell me what to do, how to do it. You know what I mean? Because community is important, village is important, but sometimes you got to trick our own people, to get them to help them. Right. We were tricked, we were deceived, so you got to play the same game. All that talking, I just ain't with it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't with all the talking. I'm really like this. I'm not on the marathon continue because I come before you slow down. So it's like when we understand we base this in the neighborhood, we mean that. You know what I mean? And
Right.
we're not looking at things like this. We're looking at things like this.
Right.
You just got to understand how we put this thing down.
Right. And I definitely want to thank you for coming through. And I wanted to ask you one last question before we get out of here. What do you feel about the difference as a West Coast person? Like you said, you watched them all come through the West Coast. There's a pride in the West and the South of independence. And I think what happened from an East Coast perspective, especially in my era when we were coming up, it was like looked down upon to be independent. And I think that's the biggest part of the industry where we got. You know, and a lot of people felt like if you weren't signed to a label, your music wasn't relevant, you didn't matter. You had people at the radio stations at the time, you would know, just like I know, it was only one station in New York. So if you wasn't scratching certain backs, your stuff wasn't even getting heard. And so it wasn't until we got an extra outlet, until Sirius XM. Big shout out to my man Leo G. You know, I used to be on 66 Raw, I had my own show and all of that. So I know the growth that happened from having one outlet. We supposed to be the biggest market in the world, but you got one station, right? And then if you from Jersey, you don't even got a station. You got to hit the local little college station. So talk about from your being a West Coast boss. And I was going to say to you, man, I done kicked it with Spice, Spice One. I done kicked it with Sibo. I done kicked it with J.O. Felony. And we went on the road, a while ago with some of the when the N1 guys was running around. And we did a tour, and I was able to be part of that because one of my homies is like one of the founders of the N1. And it taught me two things. Number one, these West Coast cats was over there getting it from day one, and they're able to still hit those markets, go to Seattle, go to San Diego, go to Sacramento, and all the different neighborhoods and the politics. And you know what I'm saying? You might be on the street that look nice, and your homie's like, yo, homie, nah, dog, you don't want to go. You don't want to go down that street, right? Just stay right here. You cool, right? So, just give us your wisdom as an OG of what how do you feel about that? Because I feel if the East Coast would have been educated on independence, we see the Griseldas now. We see some of these other artists, Jim Jones and all these cats now, are doing their thing independently and eating, and it's the move, but back, in the early 2000s, the 90s, all the way up to now, you had to get a deal. If you was from the East Coast, you was considered, whack if you was independent.
Well, it goes back to when I was talking to Warren. These guys that are based. I mean, if I really went and took a picture and showed people, even probably like 8 years ago, what the label looked like inside. I mean, there's only like 3 or 4 people that are working.
Right.
And then today, the Interscope is closed. Like, there's one person, 2 people may not be in the office. But there's a bunch of computers in the office. There's nobody. And that I get it. And you need that. But they're getting away from the tangibility. A lot of these guys aren't like let me just say this. I turned my business, we do this music business this time, this go around. I did my business in a module where, where it'll make sense. Like, you guys have to work together. Like, if there's an independent artist, he got, 8,000 followers, and he needed to plug in with somebody that got 8,000 followers. And then he plugged in with 8,000 followers. And then he plugged in, he got 8, and then y'all together got 32. So that's just plugging in and having relationships with others that have, movement. And then the next thing is, that's from my online standpoint. The other thing is, man, you gotta get out here and work. Like, I just went out here and I did toys in the hood, I'm saying? I'm putting up posters, like, we got people that, we got the hat, we in uniform, I'm saying? I show I want to move. I don't just play with it, I'm saying? So the other part, I think, like a lot of artists get stuck because the number one thing that we go into is budget. Let's just be real. So them be able to create, believe, you know, first of all, you're gonna have to have enough product, and you got to develop the sound. And I don't think I think honestly, you can have a good record, you can test out good music, you know, but there's so much good music out there now, it doesn't matter. So what matters is you standing out and you being a brand, as you said before. You know, we just in another space now that, you know, if I take in a client and I'm looking for 4 more clients, because what I'm establishing is this: is if y'all didn't have no money before, y'all didn't understand the business. By the time we finish with this in 4 to 6 months, you're gonna have 50,000. Period. And we doing business. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Nothing else, less or more. And this is gonna cost you this amount of money. This is the amount of money you're gonna have, so you can be independent. So you can start leveraging yourself to pay yourself. And that's what we've been missing for. And that's why, you know, they be telling me, why are these people always walking around like that? Like, well, you know, that's because we're missing for. So now that we got the information, we got the real players in place, you know, we can be independent.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You know? We can be independent. That's all we want. You know, if there was a way in which we could do it, we could be independent. So the more that we establish ourselves, you know, the more that we establish ourselves, adjusting ourselves, then that's where it's gonna actually take us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I made mistakes. Like I said, you know, I made that amount back in 2000 being independent. So you could just imagine over the years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But now I understood. You know, and I would always get hit. I'll say this, like, streets always, man, handle the business. Like, I'm looking around like we straight, like what business is, you know what I mean? But I get it now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so full fledged on the business. Like, by the time an artist comes to me talking, I've already established, you know, everything that he needs to do and get this done. Don't come back to me until this is done. We can't do no business without you having a business.
Right.
Other than that, you just talk.
And that's powerful, man. That's powerful. So, BossWood, before we get out of here, what's your words that you want to give to the people? Let them know where to find your music at. We're going to bring you back on, too, because this show is just a special show. And the conversation, you know, we want to thank Mr. Smith in the neighborhood, a.k.a. Kaspa the Don, you know what I mean, for dropping that knowledge on us. So just let people know where they can reach you, and we're gonna get you back.
Well, you can follow me on my educational page. Don't put nothing crazy on my page. You know, we doing real education. We changing lives on that page. You know, but those that are in the part of changing, I ain't, you know, I'm not really talking behind the block. You know, we about to develop this whole infrastructure. So those that are really interested in changing their life, changing some other lives, you know, you can tap in with me at MD _distribution.
All right.
So that's MD _distribution. Outside of that, you can tap in, you know, the music. You know, of course, you can hit me at My DJ's Dope. You know what I'm saying? That's the new brand. My DJ's Dope. All DJs Matter. Is the new brand we rolling with. Like, this DJs Matter. Like, the biggest thing, I need to see my DJs eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, eat for real. Like, just understand the business. Like, I attach myself to change their life. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I wish I would have had a little more information so I could really change their life overall. But, I mean, we're going to establish this going in 2021. And, you know, my last thing, we got this venture going in a few cities called Studio B&B, you know, where cats can come in and they can do everything they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Film, podcast, merchandise. We got the digital, you know, the technology merchandise. And basically be able to do anything. A lot of people come to Atlanta, you know. A lot of people want to go to LA, a lot of people go to different places like Denver. So we just thought it made sense, you know what I'm saying, to base ourselves in education, to attach ourselves to the market. You know, I did Atlanta, like I said, in LA, so I'm just looking for some other markets, you know what I'm saying, to attach ourselves to help China.
All right, definitely. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming through. Happy holidays to you.
Show, man.
And we're going to
talk. Hey, good seeing you, Wood.
Definitely. Please.
Yes, sir.
And BossWood, say what's up to the people before we get out of here. How they can reach you.
Yes, sir. Hey, y'all can find me on any social media site at I am BossWood. You can also visit my website, IamBossWood.com, if you want to go buy any of the latest merch. You know what I'm saying? We got new merch coming out to go with that Crit record we also got coming out on January 1st. So be in tune January 1st. BossWood and Big Crit, Spaceships.
I'm with you, brother, and we're gonna get that single out. We're doing another show next week, and I definitely want to get you on there as well. We could do a single release live on Boss Talk, brother. I got you because you definitely came through, and I want to salute you for that. A lot of people, you know, everybody don't always come through, and you definitely came through and added to the conversation. So we're gonna promote that, and what we'll do leading up to next week, we'll show little snippets, and we'll put the video in there, and make sure you get that love. All right?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Definitely, man. Enjoy your holidays.
All right, you as well.
All right, no doubt. Peace. All right, so it's been another edition of Boss Talk. I told you we had some real bosses coming through. I told y'all to stay tuned. So we're going to re-air this. We understand this holiday weekend. You know, a lot of people are with their family. They caught up. They doing things. But make sure you tune into this, man. If you loving what we bringing to the table, you need to holler at us, man. There's the number right there on the screen, 844-700-BOSS. You can call or text. That means you could text 844-700-2677. That's 844-700-2677. That's the boss line. You're going to be talking to the boss, and we're going to help you go from, you know, from just an entertainer or just a regular Joe to a CEO. So that's it, man. I want to wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday Season, and a Happy New Year. If you don't get to the next Boss Talk till after the holidays, I don't know why you wouldn't. I think you need to go back and watch a couple more of these episodes because we're bringing you that fire, man. It's about giving back to your community. It's about having a purpose. It's about investing in your brand, and it's stop falling for the scams. You don't need someone else to validate your greatness, right? You need to focus on what it is you do, perfect how you do it, set up your business structure so you can profit from it, and then, you know, put it in God's hands from there. So I'm going to sign off tonight. This has been another edition of Boss Talk Live. Big shout out to my man Kaspa the Don. Big shout out to BossWood. Big shout out to my man Matt Sims behind the scenes. I can't do all this alone, y'all. Everybody needs a team. So if you need a team, if you need the guidance of how to get your business to the next level, call the number or text the number. Do whatever you want. I'm getting out of here. Let's get to the outro. Peace.